Everyone, I am going to go through quickly the attendance check-in because there were some of you that got 2 out of 6 and some of you that got everything correct, which is awesome. Um, I just want to make a point that I do post these videos, lesson videos, and out of 120 students, to only see that 25 have viewed the video, um, that just makes me think that you're just looking at the notes and trying to figure it out instead of listening to the video like if we were in class. And it's a YouTube video, so you could fast forward if you think you know things or whatever it may be. So again, those videos are made for you. All right. If you heard the update from the district, the last day assignments are due is June 9th. So I posted a update on the calendar for the remaining of the year. Um, you will have a trig test either June 2nd or June 3rd, depending on what class you're in, day 1-3 or 2-4. So just double check that. But now the final task will be due on the 9th. All right. And I am creating a little retake quiz of a few problems that the majority of students got wrong. And it is optional. But once I send that out, I will give you like a day or two to complete because I don't want it hanging out there before the trig test. So I will let you know when that is ready to go. It should probably be by the end of the day, but just wanted to give you a heads up. If you would like to go over your quiz at any point, we could set up some time to do that. I would be happy to do that. All right, so this attendance form was based on sign only. So when it says find the period of the equation below, the period is based off of, you have to figure it out using B. So the period formula is the period equals 2 pi over B. Okay, so the B value is 1/3. So you have the period equals 2 pi over 1/3. So that means you're going to multiply top and bottom by 3. So the period of this function is 6 pi. So that's what you bubble in here. Okay, so again, to find the period, it's 2 pi divided by b. Okay, now find the vertical shift of the equation below. Vertical shift means up or down, as we've seen in the past. So whatever is added or subtracted tells you what direction you're going. So it's a vertical shift up 2. That's also called your midline. Okay. Now find the maximum of the equation below. Well, you could draw yourself a picture. Okay. Or you could just simply add. So we have this graph here. Sorry, it's not that great. -2, right, is the midline. So to find the max and or the min, we apply the amplitude, which is 4. So from -2, go 1, 2, 3, 4, which is that 2, or -2 plus 4 gives you 2, and -2 minus 4 gives you -6. So the maximum highest point is going to be 2. Okay. Now, which of the following equations has a maximum of 2, minimum of 2, and y-intercept of 0? So if your max and min are the same distance, that means your midline is at 0. So if you, and again, we're only focusing on sign, if you start at the midline, okay, and you count 2 above your maximum and 2 below for your minimum, that means you are going to have the amplitude of 2. So when I start my sine function, I start at 0, then go to 2, back to 0, to -2, back to 0. Okay, and the y-intercept is 0 because that's where you're starting, 0, 0. So the graph here is y equals 2 sine of x. Okay. So this one, at what x value will the equation below reach a minimum y value of -1? Well, first you have to find the period. So it's 2 pi over 6, which is pi over 3. Okay, so pi over 3 will be your period. Half of pi over 3 is pi over 6. Half of pi over 6 is pi over 12. Now, if I multiply 3 times pi over 12, I get 3 pi over 12, which reduces to pi over 4. Now, my amplitude is 1, so I know my highest point is going to be 1. My lowest point is going to be -1, and it's sine. So I'm starting at 0. I'm at 1, at my midline, at -1, at my midline. So at what x value will the equation reach a minimum y value of -1? It would be pi over 4. Okay. Now, a lot of you had this one incorrect. Which of the following equations has a period of 2 pi and a maximum -1 and minimum at -3? Well, if you have a period of 2 pi and you want to find that b value, then you just do 2 pi over b, cross multiply, which means you get 2 pi b equals 2 pi. When you divide by 2 pi, b equals 1. So automatically, we could cross out this one and that one because they don't have a b value of 1. So now we're left with, okay, which one is this going to be? Well, try graphing them both. So you have -2 as your midline. That's -2. Your amplitude is 1, so -1, -3. Okay, so -1 will be your maximum, -3 will be your minimum. So right now, this one is looking like the correct equation. But if I show you this guy here, you're starting at -1 as your midline, but your amplitude is 2. So from your midline, you count 2, 1, 2, and that's at 1, and you subtract 2, 1, 2. So here, your minimum is at -3, but your maximum is at 1. So that doesn't fit what it's asking. So the correct equation is sine of x minus 2. Okay. All right. And then a few things I wanted to show you is a few things to remember. Where does the sine graph start? Well, the sine graph starts at the midline always, then it goes to the maximum, then midline, minimum, midline. Okay, so I'm just going to change these colors for midline. I want to show you what changes when we have a negative. Copy, paste. Okay, so if you have a negative sign, meaning a reflection, the only thing that changes is your max and min if you have a reflection, okay? So think of when you're graphing sine, okay, and say if it's 2 pi is the period, half is pi, half of pi is pi over 2, pi over 2 times 3 is 3 pi over 2. Okay, and parent function sine graph has 1, -1, oops, -1. Your midline is at 0. Okay, so this is your midline. 1 is your max. -1 is your minimum. Okay, so you start at 0, your max, mid, minimum, mid. Okay, and when you connect those points, it's a smooth curve, okay? And the distance from your midline to your max and your midline to your min is called your amplitude, okay? So I hope going through this, it makes a little more sense, especially with sine graphs, okay? You will get another probably attendance check-in / formative next class regarding cosine or both. Okay, you might have both of them there just to see where we need to focus on and see if there's any questions. All right, so I hope this helps. Hope you guys have a great day and stay healthy.